Welcome and well met to Words of Azem, the monthly Final Fantasy XIV fan podcast where a group of warriors of light from Lamia world and Primal data center here to chat the hour away. I'm Yosora Polyanis, veteran black mage, and with me I have our ever-fierce warrior Kilira Talion.
Hello.
And the High Soaring Dragoons, Asaria Limoli.
Hello.
And Midori Toka.
Hello.
Okay, we're recording early for once. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So,
actually recording early.
Yeah, big patch came out. Third Mammaries. Finally, we have like an actual big new content release to talk about. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And fun stuff. Let's just... Well, I mean, there's no point in like asking what have you been playing, because that's what we'll be talking about throughout the entire episode. So let's just dig right into the main scenario questline. Spoilers, warning for anyone who hasn't played it yet. We will be going into everything right away. So we're following right on up with more Void content. Not what we had expected originally, but a welcome decision.
So yeah, the Void. We're doing a lot more in the Void than I expected.
We got to explore the Void. That's like really cool. They never used a dungeon as like a hub world like that.
Yeah, that was a cool
really
idea.
cool.
I like that. It felt like an old Final Fantasy where you clear the dungeon and then you got like story stuff inside it and you wander around.
The little Void NPCs was very like Super Nintendo era Final Fantasy.
It was.
Yeah.
So I guess we should talk about the most interesting part of the main scenario quest, which would be, of course, Zero.
Zero, yes. Oh wow. By far the biggest surprise for us was Zero. Like what a... Like we all knew that Xenos' avatar was going to play some role. Because we saw it back in the last patch and everything, but like, did not think they would turn into a hot lady and just we would like introduce her to life.
It's one of those things that it's one of those things that it happens. You're like, holy shit, and also you go, how did we not even consider this possibility for when we were trying to think of who she was?
Yeah. I never saw anybody even mention that as a possibility. Anyway.
No, everyone was either on the she's like another shard of Azem, or she's Azdaja in human form for some reason.
Yeah.
Nope.
Xenos' avatar. Of course. Why not?
Yeah. It's a really cool decision. Like
it is.
It's,
go on.
I wasn't quite expecting us to get what the guide character in this patch. I figured they would delay it by a patch or two, so that also kind of shocked me.
Yeah. Part of the thing about going to the Void is that usually in this game, whenever you go anywhere, you got somebody who's kind of leading you around, like to provide some context.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that in the Void, and while that's kind of interesting, watching a bunch of characters just sort of bumble around aimlessly does kind of like make it hard to tell a story. So having someone who can exposit a bit has helped to move things along with the Void story probably faster than it could have otherwise.
And it helps too that what they did was like have us bumble about first.
Yeah.
So like clearly we needed to find someone to guide us because we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because they said that we're going to be doing like more like regular adventurer stuff, and that is what we're doing. Like we just happen to be doing it in the Void. So, but if you think about what we're doing, like this is basically just a help a brother rescue his sister plotline, which is a very classic low stakes adventurer type story, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's not unlike what we've seen with some like hard mode dungeons before when like
we have we're not planning on going out on like saving the world or anything, but we accidentally stumbled into what seems to be a big turf war in the Void entirely by accident.
Yeah. It's a really cool way they've like approached the the way they approach like the world building of the Void here, because like we've been there a few times now. We went there in the World of Darkness, and we visited the city of Maha, and all that stuff. But like revealing that basically like all the big Void Sentients have their own little like domains where like smaller Void Sent are like their minions, and
I mean that does make sense.
It's a really cool idea. It's a good way to do it.
And you can definitely tell how like the idea of the Void has shifted over the course of the game.
Oh yeah,
yeah, become
definitely
more of a place, as opposed to just where the monsters from the other world come from.
Yeah, it used to just be like, oh, it's like the underworld.
Yeah. So, it's interesting, and it'll be very interesting to see like where they go with it. How much this will continue on? Will this continue right? How directly this will set up 7.0? Because they said that this immediate plot line is gonna resolve by then, but it's gonna set up whatever happens in 7.0.
Yeah, it's going to be something big that occurs that like reveals to us.
I'm assuming that we're going to deal with Golbez, but then something will come up after Golbez that is a bigger problem.
Yeah, like we'll probably like defeat. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he's trying to do something. We don't know what he's trying to do. So even if we defeat him, he might accomplish whatever he's trying to do, and then that sets up what we have to deal with.
I have a couple ideas about that.
Yeah, here I think it's going to depend how much they want to go into Final Fantasy IV. If they really want to lean into that, whoever is Golbez's boss, or spoilers for Final Fantasy IV, controlling Golbez, that could be the bad guy of 7.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's pointed out already that, of course, Zero is named Zero.
Yeah.
With Zeromus being Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah.
But,
so, one thing that I saw someone somewhere, Twitter, Reddit, or somewhere mention, was that we've only ever seen Void Gates open from the source or with a great difficulty the first, right?
Yeah.
We've never heard of a Void Gate that actually was open, or to open naturally. But the idea is that they always open from the source. What if Golbez is trying to open a Void Gate from the Void to the source?
It would make sense, because like he's like trying to make everyone like all these Void Sons stronger, and it's like like
so I think
more light.
I'm guessing that we will beat Golbez, but whatever his overall plan is will go off. And we have to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
What if it isn't the source he's trying to get to? What if Golbez is actually from a different plane than where we're going, or the source? Yeah.
Possible.
It's possible, but the general impression has been that it's harder to go from the reflections to the other reflections than it is from the source to the reflections, and that it's a lot easier to go from the source to the Void than any of the others. Just because
we also very much seem to be implying that we'll be exploring more of Etheris going forward in some way now.
So I'm kind of thinking that maybe there will be like a big like permanent Void Gate will open up somewhere new, like Marasidia, just as an example, and we end up having to go there to deal with what's happening in Marasidia and a Void Sent invasion at the same time.
That could definitely be it. Yeah.
Because that seems like it would be a decent way of upping the stakes a little bit, but also going to a new location. And
they can also make sure to keep their dragons around, because they love having dragons around.
Yeah, we're still doing dragon stuff. We're still... I thought, we're surely done with dragon stuff by now. No, we're getting deeper and deeper into dragon stuff every time. It's like, dang.
There's always more dragons.
There's always more dragons.
Yeah. Dragons all the way down. So, we want to talk about Zero some more, like her personality and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we really liked her personality. Like, the whole, like...
I know you like her a lot. You like her a lot.
It was multiple people! Like, before we had even gotten to the cutscene where Zero's revealed, they were like, hey, by the way, there's a character in Buried Mammaries, you're gonna like her. Like,
I mean, I even said in the in-game chat, did they consult you on character design decisions for this patch?
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like she is the most. She's a character that like appeals to my taste the most in the entirety of 14 so far, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I mean.
And suddenly we have an Ishtola ship.
Oh God, yeah, and it's actually popular. Like,
yeah, it's very popular.
Yeah, there's been a decent amount of fan art of it. Of course, there was a specific scene that really contributed to that.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't expect. Like when Yushola was like, "Oh yeah, you can have some of my ether. I can get it back probably," and like I was like, "Oh, this is ripe shit fodder right here." But I didn't think so many people would jump on it, but they really did, and it's nice.
People have really jumped on the vampire interpretation.
Oh yeah. Vampirism is a big thing in this patch series.
I honestly think it's only because of the Hespero stuff.
Yeah.
That it's on people's mind. I think if that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have been that common.
Probably
you can
not.
see where it comes from, but vampires are on people's minds.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty certain that's why it's so common. But it's a good interpretation of it. It's funny. But yeah, no, she's great. I really like her. She's entertaining. They did a really good job on her animations, just on all the cutscenes, like really good blocking using the hat. And always like focusing on the hat whenever they.
The hat tip is like really good.
Just someone clearly had a lot of fun blocking out those cutscenes and working on it. So.
You also like that like they have like. Go ahead.
Say again?
It was like they were watching westerns when they were designing this.
Yeah, it does. She's like a Western vampire. It's really funny.
We like when she first is introduced, and she has this very like typical like cold, unemotional demeanor about her, but like we like how open she is to things. Like when she's like given the name, like she does like and your story does seem like, well, you accepted the name. Like she doesn't argue. It's just like no, you're right.
True.
I did. Okay, fair enough. Like it's really nice. Like it's a really cool character.
It is.
And her power. The Memoria stuff.
I know you noticed this, and I saw it as well. But the crystals that she forms have the same pattern on them as creation crystals from the ancients. Which can't be a coincidence.
It can't be a coincidence, and like it makes us wonder if we're gonna take her to the moon as well, or if we'll like how we will actually make the connection in game is gonna be interesting. But
and speaking of the moon, it kind of looks like Golbez may have been to the 13th moon, maybe. So at the very end of the patch, there's that scene where we see like a flashback from Golbez. And one of the scenes is there's a shot of what looks like him killing the Watcher from the moon.
Oh yeah.
He's doing something with somebody who's clearly got the shades of the Ancients robes on. So an idea is possibly that he's been up to the moon and did something with a piece of Zodiac, maybe. Who knows?
Could be.
And it was mentioned in an interview a while back that we would learn something about what was going on the moons of the shards.
Yeah.
So
it does make sense they do more at the moon, given Final Fantasy IV.
So I'm wondering if maybe we'll end up doing something on our moon, on Etheris's moon, with maybe that big plume of ether that's coming out of there. Because it feels like they're planning something with it.
Yeah, I love that so far. It's like it's the Sonic Adventure 2 effect. Like we blew a hole in the moon. We're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna look at it. It's just it happened.
Yeah, it's fine. If something goes wrong, the Loporits will do something. They'll tell us probably if it's a big problem.
But they also we learned a lot about the Void's history with the war when. Like
we did.
What's going on there, and how Zero was one of these. What did they call them? The people that could use those Memoria.
The Memoria. Which is, like, that's her ability, but it was also like the War of the Memoria.
Yeah,
It's a little vague right now.
Yeah, we wonder if it's like a case of it being like something you learned, or if it was like some inherent ability. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of question marks there.
Yeah, I think a lot of the that stuff is like we might not learn much more about all that specifically in the game because it feels like it's just backstory, like about the whole details of the war.
It's like the War of the Magi.
Yeah, because like it happened is the important part.
That seems like something we'll do. That we'll learn more about when if we actually get like a Void expansion or something. I doesn't seem like something we're probably going to learn about in this patch series, but I mean.
Yeah, I think Zero's told us everything she knows, and probably the only other person who could tell us might be Golbez, and I don't know why he would care.
He might drop something for us to chew on for an expansion or two.
There might also be like some chance for us to like tap into the Memoria crystals and echo our way through that.
They specifically mentioned that it can't be reversed.
Yeah.
Which tells me that it absolutely can be reversed.
That is the storytelling rule.
Right? That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, I imagine part of the quest could be us trying to get some sort of power to do it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, we know more now, but it's still very hard to predict what will happen because we just don't know what they want to do with this. Like we defeated 2 of the fiends. I still haven't done that extra quest for them, so I don't know the details on their backstory.
Oh, yeah, that stuff's actually pretty interesting. So
I just keep forgetting to do it every time I'm on.
Scaramouche and Barbariccia.
Yeah.
I made sure to do that immediately, and it was a really nice little quest.
It's a good way to get backstory without stuffing it into the main quest.
You basically get one scene from before they became a Void Sent, and one scene when they became a Void Sent, and one scene when they met Golbez.
Yeah.
For both of them.
So it's not when they get a Void Sent. It gives their human backstory, and then it kind of says, and then eventually they became this Void Sent.
Yeah.
So with Scaramouche, you had it's not Scaramouche. That's the Genshin character.
I know. I keep thinking he gets the Italian name.
That one.
Scarmiglione,
yes.
Scarmiglione, yeah, that's it. Look, I can only remember so many Italian names at once.
Yeah. So like he was like some like cowardly commander who like feigned death to avoid being killed on the battlefield, and then like his superior killed him, but then he like rose from the grave and started wandering.
The superior didn't actually kill him. It says, "Oh, I left him unconscious. We're going to bury him alive and let fate do what fate does."
So that's true.
And then
and Barbariccia, she like killed her. Was it father?
It was her father, yeah.
Yeah, her like father who like had ended up. Go ahead.
She was a rich. So her father was like a bandit that somehow came into money, and then she was basically a rich trophy daughter. And her father wanted to be as a tool to get to marry off, and then he was just a total bastard. And eventually, she kills him.
Yeah, I think they either said it explicitly or they implied that he had gotten her friends killed.
He said as much. She was trying to go meet up with some friends. She was escaped from the house. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not letting those people hang up." But he basically said he killed them.
Yeah, so she like stabs him to death.
Hacks him to death with an axe.
Hacks his that's true. It was an axe.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, it was a good scene. It was very reminiscent of the scene with Yotsuyu.
Oh yeah.
But better. Because like they didn't have everything with Yotsuyu related to it.
It was good because it just didn't have all the stuff that made it a total shit show.
Yeah.
All right, so we fought Scarmiglione and Barbaricia.
Yeah.
They're dead-ish. And that leaves us with the 2 remaining fiends, who are... God, I don't remember. Rubicante and...
something Mazzo.
Yeah, something with 2 Zs.
I can never...
And
The water
Ms.
one, I definitely can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, do we think that we're going to fight them individually? Do we think we'll do a dungeon and a trial? Do you think we'll get a double trial? Because we're definitely fighting them next patch.
Oh, we're definitely fighting both of them next patch? Because I was thinking it's possible we
the
one
whole
trial
thing
each
at the
still.
end was them saying that they got to work together to do this. So I figure...
but I guess... Yeah, okay, I guess I didn't necessarily jump to we're dealing with them at the same time because I guess there's a plan that's going on, but I guess I was still thinking, well, we knocked out one of them in a dungeon, but we could potentially still be having both.
I think it depends a lot on whether or not Golbez will be the last of the trial series, or if Golbez will be, the equivalent of the Warrior of Light or
so
Fate.
The whole trial thing is completely different this expansion from any other expansion, so it's hard to say what's going on.
Yeah.
Because normally, we have the trial series that's separate with 3 trials, and then the main scenario quest trial in the 3rd patch.
Yeah.
But we just had a main scenario quest trial, and they said that they're not that. Then this is the trial series, such as it is, but it's going to be part of the MSQ. So I assume the next set of trials will all be in the MSQ as well.
Yeah.
So my guess is we fight them both next patch. We fight Golbez in 7.4, and 7.5 is not 7.5, 6.5, and 6.5 is something unexpected.
Could be.
Okay, could be. Yeah.
There's also, of course, there's also a good chance that 6.5 is split in 2, as it usually is, and there's going to be a big thing that happens in the middle.
Yeah.
That could be Golbez.
We just don't know.
It is still possible that if we do fight, it is possible that we don't have two separate trials for the 2 remaining fiends, but they still do something else for a different trial.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we're also going to have dungeons, so it's very possible that they do what they did.
So I would assume the dungeon next patch will also be in the Void. That just makes sense, unless we have to go somewhere else on the source first, but I can't imagine why we would do that.
I think the trial fight will be the 2 remaining fiends, just to potentially do something unique. I think Golbez will be just a story instance, so a solo fight, and then we'll either fight Golbez as true boss or the semblance of the boss as the final trial boss.
Maybe.
It could be.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of possibilities.
We also don't know, if we're going to involve any more of, the Scions, or if we're sticking with just this small group.
I think we're going to stick with just this small group, honestly.
Probably.
So let's see.
Now,
anything else in the MSQ?
The statue in the plaza that we explore, do you think that's actually going to be something that's important, a minor detail, or just a complete red herring?
I feel like it's going to mean something. They deliberately drew our attention to it.
I think it'll mean something more symbolically than literally. The town. That town. I don't remember the details, but it's actually apparently laid out similarly to one of the towns in FF4. Oh, what's the detail? And I think it's the town Rosa's from.
Oh, yeah?
And Zero's house is in the same general location as Rosa's house. Something like that.
That's interesting.
It was a while back. But there's that back wall with the 3 fountains coming down.
Yeah.
There's a town in FF4 that's got that same general arrangement going on, and it's distinct enough, and there's apparently a statue and stuff, so it's distinct enough that it's clearly a reference. We just don't know how much of a reference.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's always tricky to know how much is just oh, here's a cute homage, and how much is here's something you should read into.
Yeah.
So speaking of the town, one thing about the Void I thought was really interesting was the whole thing with the Void scent consuming each other and then absorbing parts of their memories and even kind of their sense of self.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, we really liked the whole like thing where you looked after you were trying to find those two Void scent that were like cowardly, and it turns out one had consumed the other because they were afraid, and like that was like a really like it was just like really interesting, like
I mean, it was
and it kind of like really good horror vibes from that as well, like
yeah, that was cool. All right. Should we talk about the raid now?
Yeah.
Well, there is we haven't talked about the fight itself. The fight itself with Barbricia.
Oh yeah. It was cool. I liked it. I haven't done the extreme.
The second phase hates casters yet again.
You see,
that was a really fun second phase.
I think the second phase was way easier than the first phase because I died a bunch in the first phase. And the second phase, I was just like dodging AoEs. Like, no, this is easy. Just don't stand in the orange things.
I thought for sure we were going to...
And as soon as like, man, I'm glad I'm not here on Black Mage.
Yeah, that looks like an awful fight for Black Mage. I thought
it is the most frenzies I've thought they've had a fight phase B, and I don't know if it's just like the fact I only ever did it once, and it just felt that throwing a lot of stuff, and it just made it seem more hectic than it actually is, but it is a very unique fight for a trial fight.
Yeah, I mean, it is more forgiving than it looks. But it was still, like, just, you had no chance of just, like, standing still and getting a few spells off. It was like, if you don't have Tri-Cast and Swift-Cast ready, you're fucked.
Yeah, when it starts, you're thinking, oh my god, this phase is going to wreck us, but then after it goes a while, it's kind of like, okay, there's a pretty basic pattern here to follow.
Yeah.
We almost wiped like before the phase transition. I thought for sure we were, but then we had managed to somehow recover from it, and I'm not sure quite how. I think we're down to like a tank and a healer at one point.
Yeah, I was shocked that we recovered that. We didn't have to reset. And I think that made the final phase weird because it ended up being longer than it should have been. It was really weird.
It was also a cool like transition for like the character model where she went from the long hair to like covering herself in the hair.
Yeah.
So like that was a really cool take on the character.
Like I said, if I had 5 gil for every time we fought a hair themed void scent, I'd have 10 gil. But it's weird that it's happened twice.
Well, it's still not as bad as fighting Firebirds.
Yes. Yeah, we're up to like what 3, 4 of those now.
We're up to 4, yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a fight with Scarmeleon, which
there was a solo instance that the dungeon boss fight with him was really well done. That's a fairly elaborate dungeon boss, and then the solo instance was quite well done. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was really good. It wasn't one of those annoying where like it's too easy to fuck up.
The problem with that one was I'd swap after the dungeon. I'd swap to Reaper to see if there was any dialogue for that, and then I hadn't played Reaper in like 3 months, so I was like, how do you even play Reaper? I couldn't even play Reaper. I was like, I should have changed back before the instance. But
there was plenty of, but it wasn't like original dialogue for Reapers, right?
There was one.
Okay.
At one point when you're like doing the last like convincing her to help you guys out and leave the dungeon area, and we're like, no, we're not gonna like force you and anything like that, and she's like, yeah, your avatar follows you willingly, and that was the only thing. There was an extra dialogue option. There was a third dialogue option that I chose that one, and it's Reaper specific as far as I can tell.
That's cool.
Or at least maybe you have to have done the Reaper quest. I don't know if you have to be on Reaper.
No, because I've done the Reaper quest and I didn't see anything like that.
Yes,
there were 3 dialogue options there for me, and I asked somebody and they said they only had 2.
Yeah.
So that's the only mention I saw, but decent, I guess. All right, the raid.
This was a good raid.
They tied some stuff up sooner than I thought, and it's gone a place I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
It seems like we're done in the past, I think, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't think we're totally done. I think we're going to go back. We're at least going to go back there and talk to them to find out, because like something obviously happens. We're probably going to go back. We're at least going to go back there and find it and probably talk to them and go, hey, what's going on your end?
Well, no, they don't know we're from the future. They think we're just.
Well, no. They don't know we're from the future. But I think we're going to go back. To some level, we're going to. I'm sure
we'll talk to them again, but we're done. I think the next tier will be access from the audio scope.
Yeah. I think the actual fight's going to be in our version of Pandemonium.
Yeah. So the fights. Prototype Carbuncle.
I was a little disappointed because at the very start of the fight, the very first attack has the mage symbol on the attack. So you're going, okay, so it's Carbuncle. It reflects magic attacks. So we have this magic symbol. There's going to be a point in the fight where some of them have a sword symbol or something. You have to determine which one you're going to have to dodge.
I think that's something that happens in the Savage version.
So after the fight, it's like, okay, so that part's only Savage. But during the fight, I was like, okay, well, I thought that was going to be in this one. I'm a little disappointed that didn't happen. But otherwise, it was an okay fight.
I like
except for the transition, which is nice to see once, but it is
they just
really
don't have that in Savage.
They need to implement a skipping transition cutscenes on the try.
See, here's the thing. They could have mentioned it. They could have made it perfect, because I saw a video that did this, and it really fixes it. Because like the song for that battle is a instrumental only version of Silent Scream, right?
Yeah.
But someone took a video and made it so that right when the Carbuncle slams down and breaks the cage, the vocals kick in, and it makes it perfect. I'd be like, I would watch that every time.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It is a really cool transition.
It is really cool. Yeah.
They clear, and we understand why they want us to see it, because they put a lot of effort into it. But
it's nearly a minute long.
Yeah.
I would say that since it's just the first fight, you're not going to have to see it multiple times too often.
Yeah. It's a bit like Eden.
I haven't even. Did we fail it in our run?
We did somehow.
That's why we saw it twice.
I was confused because I was like, okay, we're about to win. I used the limit break. I think I used limit break, and then
that's
it's
right.
like suddenly I'm like, what happened? Like half the team is dead. What happened?
Yeah, it was bad positioning. I remember that now. But yeah, clear since then have been pretty simple. So I think people mostly have that fight down. Once you understand the reflecting walls, it's not particularly hard.
Yeah, it took me a little too long to figure that out, but.
I figured it out immediately, but there was a couple of times where I almost got it wrong. That is automatically we started going one direction. Like, I saw other people go. I'm like, oh, right, crap.
Yeah. It's got lots. It's pretty generous on positioning in the normal mode, so it's not a big problem. And the jumping around devour mechanic after the transition.
The animation is great, by the way.
In Savage, it's really hard, but in normal, it's like you just see where the thing stops. All right, and then. Or see where the thing starts, and then as soon as it's done that, you just move into that position, and you're good for the rest of the thing. It's really easy.
See, what I'd like to do to make the transition better is after it, the Carbuncle needs to shout stars.
God, this was a Resident Evil raid, and it was a fucking good Resident Evil raid. It was Code Veronica as so much plant stuff.
Right. So that's Carbuncle, and now we've got... hegemony.
Yes, keyword. One of the keywords of Abyssus.
Yeah.
Because there's two.
That's a big arena.
Yeah.
This is the normal fight I'm still having the issues with, just because the floor panel switch still can be a bit confusing for me to read quickly when it's popped up if I'm looking for something else. And then the side AoEs, I sometimes miss the cue. It's like, I know I need to watch the cast bar and watch the position of the wing and the snake head. Yeah. But when you're doing something else, it can be easy to miss because you're paying attention to something else.
The wedge AoE still get me something from not paying attention to what she's doing. But the swaps I have no issue with, unlike the Zodiac platform spin still gets me every time. But these square switches, I've got them down. I don't know what it is about them that make it really easy for me. Now, if they did one diagonally, that would be hard.
Oh yeah. I've only done the fight once so far, but I caught on to the panel switch real quick, and I found it fairly easy as compared to the Zodiac one, which was I did extreme, and it was still just I followed the Dorito for those.
Yeah. Decent.
Well,
fight,
actually,
but I think it's the least memorable, like just from the fight perspective of the 4.
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe.
It's like,
when I was thinking about it the other day, I was trying to remember the fights. I was like, what was the second fight again?
Yeah, like the problem with this one is like Carbuncle's got the really cool transition. 7 has its platform shenanigans, and 8 is 8, right?
See, that's
this one just the thing that like this is that fight.
I only remember 8 because I was like, oh shit, he's a Resident Evil, and then I watched the Savage run. I don't remember how it plays.
That is really Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, 6 is okay. Nice that she's apparently going to be fine.
Yeah,
right,
we have one vampire who isn't dead.
She's doing better than some other people in this raid, so that's good.
Poor Agdestis.
Yeah, but man, that's a cool fight. Agdestis' fight is really cool.
Yeah.
Simply because it's very different from anything else they've done.
It is. It's the toughest fight in the raid.
At least in normal mode.
Yeah, normal. Yeah. But it's a really good one, and really cool design as well.
Yeah. The platform stuff, they did some cool stuff. I think hitboxes in general are getting kind of big, but it was necessary for this one so like Dragoons wouldn't jump themselves off.
Yes. I very much appreciated
you actually
the half the arena.
Like gap close yourself off, except for like if you do something really stupid.
Yeah,
the box actually. If you're doing it in any reasonable position, you can't gap close yourself off, which is also good for Warrior. Because I've gap closed myself off of like Leviathan a couple times.
Let's not forget Red Mage.
Yeah.
Leviathan.
They can still backflip off.
Leviathan. Leviathan, I specifically remember jumping off a few times just because of the way the hitbox works.
If you aim wrong when you are on the side platforms, you'll just if you're too far away, you'll clip through the edge and you'll fall right off. I did that a couple times, but this one makes it basically impossible to do that, which is like nice of them.
They were very kind about that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this one's a lot of fun. Once you get the mechanics, I think the hardest part is the positioning for the combined bird dash and what is it? What's the other thing going off then? Oh, the exaflares.
Yeah. And also the double exaflare was getting a lot of people.
Yeah.
That one you hit. Yeah, the challenge that one is you have to remember that A, it's coming, and B, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, the second one got us like several times.
Yeah,
and there's one time where I was on the wrong platform for it. And I was like, oh shit, I am so dead. And I somehow managed to dodge both of them and got through it fine. So it is possible to survive that way. It's just a lot easier to not be in that
they
situation.
seem really dedicated to putting exaflares in all sorts of casual combat content, which is really funny.
Yeah. Exaflares have been around since Heavensward?
No,
I think they were in the original raid tier at some point.
I don't know. They showed up in.
They started showing up casually in a Shadowbringers.
Yeah, the first time people like really know. Well, that's
or
not
was
true.
It the Midsummer fight in here, Stormblood, the final raid tier? Was that the first one with X-Flares?
That's where Exaflares first showed up.
Oh, okay.
But the place where they like really showed up was UCOP. That's like where everybody remembers them from.
Yeah.
And then after that, they started to show up in all sorts of other places. But they've become super common. People need to learn how to deal with them.
Now, speaking of repeat bosses here, this has got to be... How many trees have we fought in raids, either as middle bosses or actually the boss?
We fought a decent amount of trees. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's I wouldn't have much money, but it's surprising it's happened that many times.
Well, I mean, this patch had 4 fights with sexy undead women.
they did.
More like buried Mammaries.
Yeah. Speaking of trees, I was in O4 for a raid roulette the other day.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, I noticed that X-Death's tree form has like an X-Death head on top.
Wait, you never noticed that?
Somehow never noticed that, like, its shoulders and head are on the top of the tree. I'm like,
yes!
Wow, that looks really silly.
It does. It's a very silly design, and we are so happy they kept it.
I somehow had never. I guess just because of, like, I've always just sort of had my camera tilted down, and I've never had a reason to look up in that fight because the top part of the tree form doesn't do anything. I just happened to have my camera pointed more up than normal, and I was like, oh wow, that looks really dumb.
It's really funny.
But yeah, it's 7's fun. I like how unique it is compared to essentially any other fight.
Yeah.
And then 8. 8's like clearly half a fight.
Hephaestus.
Even more than Hesperos was clearly half a fight. Hephaestus is extremely half a fight.
Yeah.
Which is fine because I don't want to fight the other half of that fight. I've got better things to do with my time.
Yeah, the second half looks. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. But yeah, no, it's pretty good. I hope you like fire and phoenixes and stuff.
And if you're playing with Japanese audio, Char.
Oh,
yes, extremely sharp.
We finally have a new voice actor for La Brea in English.
We do, yes. I haven't heard that, but that's nice to know.
Look, it sounds nothing like the old one.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect.
Actually,
it's a pretty
I have
fine.
no idea what he's ever sounded like in English. I don't think I've ever heard him in English. So, I wasn't expecting him to be Hephaestus. That was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to be like a wild man when he was young, which was seeing old La Brea and young La Brea next to each other is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I knew La Brea proper wasn't going to be the main bad guy of this tier, but I wasn't quite expecting them to have La Brea be actually here, the aggrieved party, and actually the good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. I still think the whole thing with the second La Brea does not hold up under scrutiny.
Yeah, that was kind of.
And I'm like, this doesn't make much sense. Like, even with the ancients, this does not make a huge amount of sense in every bit. Just like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's reasonable. Elidibus is like, oh yeah, this is totally normal. This is a reasonable thing. Marathonius.
Hey, wait, why weren't you here? Ah, well, I thought you would handle it.
It's one of those. Definitely a little too much. You guys are not like. I've seen some people say that like people aren't talking about stuff in the game. Like the people in the game are like just ignoring certain things. This definitely got brushed over a little too quickly.
Yeah. The scene before that though was really cool with Fennis being all like, "Say my name."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, and then, like, now I know it's not you because the real library would never do that.
Yeah.
But also, I saw
definitely never calls people by their casual names.
I saw a few funny comments recently where people are like, "You can't believe that the library just showed his sex tapes to his son."
Yes.
Yes.
His son and coworker recorded in the workplace.
Yeah, there's some good tweets about that.
Athena says mask stays on during sex.
So I'm guessing. So I'm assuming the final battle will be against Athena.
Yeah, some resurrected Athena.
I think they're going to do the usual where she won't be the final boss of the next tier, but the third boss. And then
she'll probably be the third. And then the final will be some bizarre amalgamation of her and something else.
But or what she's working towards.
You say the usual, but like Alexander was the final Alexander boss, and
like the
Bahamut was the final.
Yeah, I mean, the big one that people think of in this is his Omega.
Yeah, because Mitron was like
Omega wasn't the final boss; it was the evolved Omega.
Yeah,
and I think that is most likely what's going to happen here. It'll be closer to the Omega than
you think?
Omega situation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if like they somehow do some kind of like fusion dance with like Athena and whoever else will be there.
Yeah. They brought we got other fights somehow, but yeah, they brought up the whole thing, which is clearly how Ashian Prime from the research facility came about. Same technique. It seems like that's a thing that they know how to do, and they just don't do it because it's weird.
Yeah, that sort of brings
because
into
nobody seemed particularly surprised at the thing they were doing, just that they were doing it.
That really puts into context the boss you fight in Heaven's Word's final story dungeon.
That was Ashian Prime.
Yeah, that's Ashian Prime. Yeah.
So like, not only did La Habrea have Athena, La Habrea also had what's her name? Yes.
Man, I just did that dungeon a couple days ago in Roulette, and they need to work on those cutscenes still. They're too long.
Yeah.
So when we did the first tier, we were all speculating about, well, is this really our La Habrea? And after as soon as we actually saw him here and the way he showed up, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is La Habrea we dealt with.
Yeah, they even did a shot where, like, we see him and are instantly like, that's him. Even though that makes no sense. But in our Azem heart, we knew that's him.
Yeah, it comes. It's just like, yep. And especially since at that point he wasn't the antagonist in the antagonist position anymore.
Yeah.
I guess the other question here is, what horror video game is the third tier going to be based on? Because we've had Castlevania, we've had Resident Evil,
Silent Hill.
It actually kind of makes sense because it is Pandemonium is in a different world now.
Oh yeah.
It could.
I mean, they could do. I mean, I guess you could argue that Metal Gear Solid is one now since they had a zombie game. We're gonna sneak in. We're gonna sneak in. It'll be Metal Gear Solid type bosses.
I mean, I think it's funny that they're clearly theming these after games from entirely different publishers.
Yeah.
So,
if they're going to go with a different publisher, Clock Tower.
They could bring it home and they can do Parasite Eve.
Oh god, that'd be so
good. That would be interesting.
I was going to suggest, like, Fatal Frame, but, like, not sure how they would do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Parasite Eve one you could also kind of see. I mean, I guess with Resident Evil we already have the kind of the genetic, science type stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I guess
I just want to fight a zombie T-Rex skeleton.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
If they do Fatal Frame, though, you could use the zoom mechanic as a raid mechanic. That'd go over great.
Well, might have some interesting interactions with third-party tools.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about the raid?
I'm really curious what Eric Thanius, like, if he's gonna do anything more, if this was the end for his story, like.
Yeah.
Well, so,
speaking of him,
okay.
You go.
Yeah. So people brought up the idea of the past that the guy that disappeared at the end of this one is his shard form. I think there is a decent chance that is the case, especially
thing.
Especially now that we've completely removed him from as he's actually La Habrea. I think they do look kind of similar, if I recall, and
but also
it would be a way to tie that.
We're probably going to find him in Pandemonium in the audioscope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, he went and was poking around in Az's Law, which is like, of course, nothing bad has ever happened by poking around.
Why do people keep going there?
Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's in Az's Law," and I'm like, "Are we going to do something about that?" I feel like we're a little too blasé about the floating Allegan continent. That probably isn't going to fall out of the sky right now, but will be at some point.
Yeah, we really should do something about that permanently.
I mean, maybe we should talk with Charlene. Maybe they've got something they can help with that. I don't know how you would handle that. Maybe
the Loporits can figure it out.
I mean, so
maybe we should go and land it in the burn. That probably wouldn't hurt anything. Probably don't want to land it in the ocean. That would probably be bad.
Wherever we land it, we might accidentally wake something up. So maybe it's better just put that off as long as possible.
Anyway,
so actually, speaking of the burn, when the hell are we gonna go summon primals there to restore life?
Okay. Yes. 9.0.
Yeah.
Okay, Tataru quests.
Yes.
Do you like Sky Pirates? I hope you like Sky Pirates, because that's a lot of Sky Pirates.
Yes.
Yeah, this one hinges a lot on how much you care about that set of characters. So for me, it's kind of like I didn't even like them that much at the time. And
I
enjoyed that.
I like Kashi.
I like Kashi. I like the evil Mimi pirate lady with the eye patch.
She's funny.
Yeah.
It
was fine. It was fine.
I like the Lalafell sidekick. The Lalafell sidekick is always fun.
Yeah,
she's good.
She was barely in it.
The actual dude, he's okay as side character dudes go. He's fine.
It was nice to finally have a moment where people see you. I mean, you're undercover first, but after you disrobe, and NPCs actually react with, "Oh shit, that's the Warrior of Light! Run!"
Yeah. It was fine. It wasn't a lot to it. It was. I think I was glad it was not super long, just because I didn't want to spend 2 hours of quest with these characters. But for something that took 20 minutes, it was fine.
Yeah.
And the stuff with the old guy at the end was kind of interesting, I guess.
It was also really funny seeing Emmeline trying to be cool warrior.
Yeah, trying to be cool. I mean, she's just like, hey, take that off and give it to someone who can actually use it.
So yeah, they're clearly building up to something at the end. So I'm guessing that we're just gonna visit some other side characters from other side quests over the course of the next few patches, and then we'll all come together for our present to Tataru.
Yeah. As soon as I started the quest, I was thinking, we're probably doing some of the Sky Pirates here, and probably other little side quest characters we haven't seen in a while. But I was trying, but you can't do it all with the 24-person raids, because a lot of the others I think are too.
Yeah, we were thinking maybe we could go to Sid and Nero, but they show up in the main scenario this time, so maybe not.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I guess we could do the. I don't know that we're going to see the Baja characters. I guess we could. I mean.
The Alexander quests, we could go with them.
Who was featured in the first one? I don't even remember. Who did we go talk to in the first one?
Fuck.
We got the.
We didn't really. It was. I don't think we saw any old side quest characters for that one, did we? We just went. We went to Uldad and talked to the. And followed. We basically just went to Uldad and got the situation set up. We didn't.
We did some some ARR stuff in that one.
Yeah, there's ARR stuff, and we saw some MSQ characters, I think.
Yeah, I think we might be going expansion by expansion, so I'm kind of expecting something Stormblood related next time.
That would make sense.
Four Lords. Maybe something with beast tribes.
The four lords does make sense. Actually, I think that's the same level of kind of side content
probably,
and
the
characters.
Four Lords and maybe the Ruby Sea people.
Actually,
or maybe some people at Yangsha.
I should know the name of the area here, but it would actually probably really work well for side quests. With all the area with all the aura, I should know the name of that.
The steppe.
Yeah, the Azem steppe.
Yeah, the steppe. Yeah. Yeah, we've done a lot.
They've shown up.
So I kind of think we might do something with some who are seen less, because you do a lot with the steppe.
Yeah, I guess. The main thing with the steppe is that since we've seen the major characters from that in MSQ stuff, and if they were going to stick with the more of the side content angle, but I guess if they do that, they would have to. For this one, they specifically told everyone, "Hey, you better go make sure you did the Shadow Mox series." I guess they might keep doing that, but
yeah, I mean, this might just be their way of gently nudging people to do side content.
Yeah, so the Four Lords is another one that's currently totally optional, so they could use this to make that required for this, and then.
Well, there was also the Hildebrand quest in Stormblood, where the chase for
but we're getting more Hildebrand anyway, so we're probably not going to see Hildebrand here.
But they could follow along the Yojimbo stuff where you're working with like the Shisengumi analog.
Yeah. I don't think that would show up in the Tataru quest, but we might run into what's his name with the glasses?
Hancock.
Obviously, slimy merchant. Hancock.
Oh, Hancock. Yeah. Well, he was part.
He'll show up at some point. He'll have to.
I had to think of the Will Smith film to remember his name.
Yeah.
He's going to show up at some point just because he was heavily involved with Tataru. I think, but they were involved with He was involved with the Four Lord stuff too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He showed up almost every time in Stormblood. It was actually really fun.
That's true. Yeah.
They managed to fit him into basically everything in Stormblood, and also Tataru was involved in the Four Lords, so that's a good place to go for.
Yeah. But regardless of what they do, I think there's no way he doesn't show up in the if they're going expansion by expansion. There's no way he doesn't show up when they do that part. So.
Okay, so that leaves the Island Sanctuary, which finally released.
I have not touched it.
I did it first day, and I haven't been back. So this is all on you.
Okay, yeah. So we've been no-lifing the Island Sanctuary, and we love it. It's everything we wanted, basically. It's just like Animal Crossing Harvest Moon, but Final Fantasy, and you can't marry people, which should fix that. But it's just a relaxing thing you can spend hours on if you enjoy like very passive gameplay. Like you go around, you get you level up your island by like farming things and collecting things and capturing animals and feeding them and building things and all these things. And it's not as free range as they made it sound, but it's still enough to make it feel like you are the one deciding things for your island.
Oh.
It's kind of a slog to level up in the later levels because you only get like 10 XP from gathering things and 20 XP from capturing animals. And
I saw those and I was like, ew.
Yeah, the final XP for getting to rank 10 is 41,000. And like if you have everything built already and you do the dailies, like the daily building missions through the workshop, and you have a full range of animals that you feed and you collect from every day, and you sow all your fields and you collect it from there. It will still take several days to reach level 10 from level 9. So it's a slog. Now, what we did was we just put on a 5-hour YouTube video and just walked around collecting things for 5 hours.
Wow, I wonder what 5-hour YouTube video.
Oh, yeah! But it's really nice. I do hope what they do is they introduce seasonal stuff. So, like, next patch we will get, like, winter stuff that we can farm and expand further. But we'll see.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
I've done it here casually almost every day. Generally, I do like the fact that you've got a large area to explore. Hopefully, they'll build upon it. I would like them to, in the future, add more buildable areas. Even if they don't increase the amount you can build, give us different places to put it just so it can look different. And a couple of interface things. I kind of like the interface, but I think they can do it a little bit more streamlined. I don't know if it's just a personal preference, but just going to click in the window between each different thing feels kind of annoying. I almost would like, the vehicle bar they use when you're in like a gun or something to be used instead.
Yeah.
We were actually surprised how, because like you can't assign anything to the hotbar, and when we first played it, we played it with a controller. No, it does work fine because it's such a passive thing, but it is odd. We also think
I saw someone suggest that they should have done it like when you were on the island, you were like have the job like limited job islander.
Yeah.
Or something with.
Yeah,
I think they want you to be able to queue for stuff, and I guess this makes it easier to queue up for stuff and not have other issues show up.
Yeah, it probably would be.
Because it's all just bolted on top and doesn't interact with your actual regular job at all.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they tried to do it maybe like a vehicle and it just wouldn't work with that more different things they want to do at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I find annoying, it's just because when I usually get to the island at the time of day, the workshop schedule, they really need to not limit it per day, because sometimes when I log on, I do go there after I do, like some daily stuff. It's late in the evening on the West Coast, and I can't schedule an 8-hour job. It just says not enough time, and it's like...
Yeah. Because the way it works, I mean, this will depend on your time zone, obviously, but for us, like, it's 10 a.m. every day is when it resets. So if you can't slot in before 10 a.m., then you can't get anything done there. It is cute how they, like, require you to give the mammoths 2 days off. That's a cute little touch. We also think like the interface could be better about stuff like timers, like being able to like check like how long it was until your building is done or whatever from the map or something else when you're out exploring would be really nice. Being able to check what, because you can check the recipes for like things you craft, but you can't check like what you need to like upgrade your like workshop, for example. So if you're out collecting,
Yeah, I noticed that. And
or
that's gonna be
and you're like, oh shit, how much iron ore did I need? Did I need 20 or did I need 30? I'm like, well, I guess I better get 30, or I have to teleport back and then go out again.
Yeah.
It's nice for them to give you like an instantly reusable return and sprint. It's a little odd. It's on the like limited action or the bonus action slots. But although it did finally give us enough of a hassle, it was enough of a hassle for us to finally bind that to keys on our keyboard. So that's probably gonna be good eventually for other things. But
all right.
It allowed me to catch a Koblin, and I can pet a Koblin every day, so 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, like and the Pokemon Shiny Hunter in us has been just living amongst those wild animals, waiting for like the rare ones to spawn. We have a Chocobo and a black Chocobo named Green and Gaia. We have
that's cool.
We have we have like, I think we have 5 of the rare ones. We do not have the rare Goblin, and I don't know it's us because we've been living up in the mountains with the Goblins for the past few times we've been playing, but they don't want to spawn. And we refuse to look up like what you can do to make them spawn, because that's like, no, this island sanctuary is my island sanctuary. I figure everything out here. Although actually that reminds me, like, there's like a variety of like things in the workshop queue that requires vegetables that I can't sow. But I have gotten everything in the gathering log. What's that about?
That is weird.
Yeah, like, we're not sure. Maybe we should look that up if there's...
Yeah.
But, yeah. It's odd. But yeah, Island Sanctuary.
Right.
Love it. Hope they keep updating it. You get a big, fancy Garlean motorcycle when you reach level 10.
That's what's going to make me do it, because that's really cool. Alright, so... Coming up, we've got the Criterion Dungeons and the
Variant Dungeons.
Variant Dungeons. That's the word I was looking for. Could not remember that. I knew it started with a V, and I was like, variable? Criterion Dungeons, Variant Dungeons in 6.25.
Yep.
Along with the new Hildebrand quests.
Manderville weapons.
And the Manderville weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, I spent most of my time in game recently has been spent doing the anima books for Scholar. I still have memorized the location of all the mobs and all the fates. I know exactly where to go just by looking at them. I don't have to look them up anymore, even though I hadn't done them since Stormblood. Flying in ARR is amazing.
Oh yeah, it really is.
I do not know how much. I've known it's there and I've done it a couple times, but until you actually have to go somewhere, you have no idea.
You have to go to Boulder Horizon. Downs in fucking Curtis to fight the big giants, and it's wait, God, this doesn't take 10 minutes anymore.
You go to Horizon, and then you fly over
yes,
the thing and go directly to Cape Westwind.
It's so nice.
Wasn't there even
places you can land on?
Wasn't there even a even worse fate area in one of the instances where, due to the height, it was just so awkward to get to?
Yeah, you can fly directly down to the Big Bagley Theory in Eastern Thanalan. You can fly directly from Aleport to the Isle of Umbra.
Yep.
I don't know if that's actually faster than taking.
That is slower, but I still do it.
And you can land on some of the ledges of Pharaoh Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
They actually added that to the map. There's actually new stuff in the Isle of Umbra maps when you get there. And you can fly up and land on some of the edges of Pharaoh Sirius, which is really cool. They added landing to not every place, but lots of places they've added that you can land on, which is really cool. Places where they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to add landing in a bunch of these places, but they did. So yeah, I did the anima books for Scholar. If you know where to go and you get mildly lucky on fate spawns, you can bang one out in 2 hours easily. Less if you're super lucky on fates. So it still leaves me 2 weapons to go through the book phase for. I still have to do Summoner and Ninja. Then I'll finally be done with them forever. Right, I'm sure almost right in time for the Manderville weapons to have anima book phase. Because I feel like they're going to bring back the greatest hits for the Manderville weapons.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be like, you guys asked for it. You asked for it.
Can't wait to go farm... what were those things called you farmed at the start of?
Atma.
Atma, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so I'm kind of fucking 2.1 bullshit.
Lights back, baby.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to them trying this approach again. I'm curious how it'll be, because I feel like they've in recent expansion they kind of decided that the way that the AR grinds for this stuff works is probably a bit too much, maybe. But we'll see, because some of the grinds for the Baja weapons were still pretty nasty, but I don't think any of them were as bad as the old anima. Or,
I finally proceeded my resistance weapon a little bit, and now the stage I'm on is you got to go run to Lubrin Reganai a bunch of times. I'm like, nope, that's not happening. Sorry, nope.
Yeah, but the thing as bad as the grinds for those could be, what I appreciate about the old ones, in addition to just being things you can unsync in later expansions, it's just it was stuff that was largely mindless. Yeah. So, and the problem with Baja is that it wasn't.
AR stuff is so free now. It's if you got on Scholar, Ruin 2 will kill basically anything in AR now.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And you go into the dungeons, and anything below 50, one cast of Ruin unsynced, it dies immediately.
Even when I was light grinding to finish my all my Zodiacs, it was fun just trying to figure out how to optimize Arm Veil.
Yeah.
Just to
now you don't even have to do that.
Under 3 minutes.
Now we're so strong with the Epic Echo. It's you don't even have to do it. You just there's a limit to how many things you can hit with an AoE attack at one time. You can only hit up to 16 enemies. All right, which normally that's not an issue because you're not normally facing 16 enemies at once. But it's an issue when you're unsynced. So you pull a bunch in Sastasha or Orm Vale, and then you hit your standard AoE. And it goes boop, 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 and there's still 10 enemies left because you ran out of enemies.
Yeah, Sastasha is the one where the first room of Sastasha is where I remember running into that a lot. Where you can pull 50 enemies in that just because of all those stupid flames.
If you really want to, you can pull every enemy in Aurum Vale.
Yeah.
You can.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah.
There's no walls other than the bosses, so you can just like pull them and then kill the bosses and keep going.
No,
there are the Morbles, and so you just kill the Morbles, but then all the Morble hatchlings follow you anyway.
Yeah, we've done that.
It's really funny.
We brought everything to the final room once.
There's no real reason to do that.
We did it during Light Phase, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. It's funny. So yeah, we'll see what the Manderville weapons are. We'll see what the variant and Criterion dungeons are like.
Also the tribal quests.
And the tribal quests, I'm really interested in these. I finally finished the elephant people. It was okay. I like the hippo mount.
We haven't actually started the elephant people yet.
This story's fine. It's not the best, not the worst.
Yeah,
it's better than a lot of the old ones. Not as good as some of the more recent ones. I'd put it on the same level as like the bug people from Heavensward.
Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't put it. The bug people were some of the better early ones. I'd put it more like at the other ones from
the
Vanu Vanu.
Yeah, I compare it more to that one.
I didn't
with exception,
the Vanu Vanu was really boring to me. This one was fine. It was interesting enough, and it had Ogle, and Ogle's great.
Yeah, so this one
I found the start to be mostly just okay, but the final quest was entertaining and dynamic enough to put it solidly in the middle, I think.
Yeah.
They can't all be pixies, and
the
thing for me is
the idea of delinquent elephant people, hippo cart riders is just really funny, and they kind of work in some of the like stuff from like Japanese delinquent stories in a weird way, and it's funny.
The thing for me
it's not amazing, but it gets the job done.
Thing for me is when Ogle was on screen, it was really funny, and the race at the end was amusing. Yeah. But everything else, I was just kind of going, I don't really care.
Ogle's continuing quest to not be racist is very entertaining to watch. She's trying really, really hard. She's doing her best.
And then she does elephant face.
Yes. That was. Oh man. Yeah, you can go and buy an elephant person costume now. Of the steppe elephant people, not the ones in Thavnair. Which I hadn't realized how different they looked until they showed up. And I was like, oh wow, they do look a lot different.
It's really funny how much of like the various anthropomorphic animals in 14 we can just dress up as.
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, I think some of them are like, well, that's cool, and some are like, whatever. But yeah, everything with Ogle and the quest was great. The actual story is fine. It's not terrible to go through. I didn't hate it, but it's not like the Vanu Vanu one where it's like at no point was I ever interested in that one.
Yeah, I never cared for the Vanu Vanu one. I like the Vath one though.
The Vath were good. Like this, I put it on the same level where it's entertaining enough. I'm not gonna clamor for more of them specifically, but I mean when they come back for the combined tribe quest at the end, I'll be happy to see a couple of them. So yeah, it's fine. Anything else coming? Oh, there's a maintenance this week on. I probably by the time this airs, it'll already have happened. But this week there's 6.21 for various fixes. Probably buffing some jobs, maybe. These people are asking for that. Lots of complaints about balance this time around in Savage. Not interested in talking about it. It's boring.
Yeah.
Unless anybody wants to talk about it. None of you doing Savage either, so it's not like you.
No. I mean,
basic
I guess
complaint is that casters in range aren't strong enough, and the balance of tanks is bad.
I mean, we'll get behind that.
Yeah. Basically, the idea, the general consensus is that Black Mage is almost fine. Summoner and Red Mage usually do more damage. Physical ranged are in terrible positions, and Paladin and Warrior need to do more damage.
We still haven't played Dark Knight since they buffed it. We should try that out.
It's okay. I'm leveling it right now. It's okay.
It's
whatever.
It's apparently a strong tank. It's just.
Oh, it's the strongest tank. It does most damage now.
It's just too busy. Way too busy.
So many buttons.
It's okay. I don't know. I just don't like Dark Knight very much. If you ever want to talk about Dark Knight, bring Cam on. He'll talk about it all the time.
I love Dark Knight, but
I'm sure he can. I'm sure if you ever want to have a discussion about tanks, you should have him come on, and we'll argue about tanks.
Do we know anyone who plays Gunbreaker?
I mean, I have leveled Gunbreaker.
That's not the same.
In Shadowbringers, Reen mained it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She made Sage now.
Yeah.
But I think she still has Gunbreaker level, so she could probably talk about it. And then Paladin it's Paladin, whatever. Anybody can play Paladin.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I play Paladin, I'm honestly not sure what to do with its kit. Damage-wise, these different things don't seem to have a clear interaction with each other. So I'm just kind of like,
you just run the thing in a loop, and it doesn't have a burst phase, which is weird and is part of its problem because no part bursts more than the other part really. So it's just sort of like it's okay. It's not boring anymore, but it's just not exciting. It doesn't like super boring like it used to be.
It's finally got It's finally got a casting phase, which I actually do kind of like. It's just awkward because you're trying to balance here. Well, do I try to do my damage combo loop, which is kind of a bit boring, or the casting loop?
The thing about Paladin is it's somehow less than the sum of its parts. It's got a bunch of really cool stuff, but then you put them all together and it's just not interesting. I don't know how to put it. It's just, you know how like on in Gunbreaker you got the continuation combo. In Warrior you've got inner release. In Dark Knight you do your big off GCD spam phase, right? Paladin doesn't have that, so even like its big new sword, like big sword explosions combo, doesn't feel interesting to do. It just lacks some oomph.
Yeah.
It's very consistent in its damage, but its damage is not good, so it's got a problem. If it was consistent damage that was stronger, people would probably be higher up on it, but it just feels bad because like you could just go play Dark Knight and do better. Because Dark Knight's not even that hard. Gunbreaker's the hard one.
Yeah, obviously I don't try to optimize him that much when I play, but Gunbreaker, when I was leveling, Gunbreaker is the one I enjoyed the most. But
yeah.
I don't main tanks, so...
It's been about almost an hour and a half. Should we wrap it up?
Yep. So, that's been the 6.2 episode. Next month we'll probably have more to talk about with, the second half of 6.2.
Yeah, if it's out by then.
Yeah, well, if it's not out, we'll probably at least have something from...
Yeah, we'll have some information.
Yeah.
For sure.
As always, you can follow us on Twitter at Words of Azem, or you can follow Cleartelian at Cleartelian, Azara Limoli at Azara Limoli, Midori Toka at Satoshi Miwa. You can follow me at Pharaoh Ultima, and unless anyone has something they want to plug or mention.
Not at the moment.
Nope.
All right.
Not really.
In that case, stand tall, our friends. Our journey never ends.
See ya.
Take care.